Hey y'all, it's Miss Harden. I just wanted to make a quick practice video for you guys. Um, I've played for some of you, and for some of you I haven't, so this will be your first time hearing me play. I just wanted to let you know that I was once in 4th grade, 6th grade, 8th grade, and that practicing sucked for me at one time too. It doesn't get any easier the older that you get, honestly. It just is kind of one of those things that you have to make a habit of. And I get from a lot of younger students, they don't want to practice because they're so consumed with daily life. And I wanted to give you some tips and tricks on what I do to like motivate myself to practice. And uh, I hope that this video helps in some way. Um, you only get better through practicing, and I know that your teachers will push that down your throat for the rest of your life if you stay with your instrument, but it really is true. You don't get to play with better people until you get better yourself. And it's really more fun when you get to a point where you can start playing in bands that are better than just playing hot cross buns when you're playing music that you're actually into. But um, we got to take some steps to get there, right? So I usually run by the 5 W's and everything that I do: who, what, when, where, why, and then we'll add how in there too. So let's start with who. I mean, it's you practicing, and for younger students, this is going to be it. It's all about you. You're trying to make yourself better. And honestly, music is one of those things that you can aim to please people all that you want to, but it has to come from what we call intrinsic motivation. That means that motivation has to come from you, not someone else. It can't be your band director telling you, practice, you gotta practice, you gotta practice. It can't be Miss Harden telling you, hey, you have to practice, come on, let's practice. Did you practice? Did you practice? You have to be the one to make the decision to practice. And guilty as charged, I don't always practice like I should, but I try and make it an everyday occurrence as much as I can. And so the who is you. You have to be the one to practice because you're trying to make you better. Now, the older that you get, the more that you start wanting to be better for other people as well. When you start preparing for recitals and you start playing for bands and you're responsible for your own part, well, then the who becomes the people that you're playing with. I mean, you don't want to let your bandmates down by not knowing your part. You don't want to let the audience down because they came a long ways to watch you play, or they made the effort to come watch you play. You want to be good, right? So first and foremost, it needs to be intrinsic motivation, and then secondly, we can talk about extrinsic motivation, which means the motivation is coming from someone else. Okay? What? The what is, what are you going to practice? I mean, that's about the only thing that I could come up with. And it's important for you to lay out your goals for what you're going to practice. You should have smaller goals that you want to achieve that day. And then you should also have goals that you want to achieve in the future. And I totally did not know any of this until I got to college. So shout out to Dr. Sapola. This is one of the things that he talked about in lessons is you have to have smaller goals to reach in your lessons and in your practice sessions so that you're motivated to keep practicing. Because truth be known, if you don't set smaller goals for what you want to get done in the day, then it's really discouraging because you're not going to achieve the bigger goals in one practice session. So when I run you through what I would do, I might say my goal for today is to learn my C major scale. Like, I'm pretending I'm in fourth grade, 5th grade, whatever. If my goal is to learn my C major scale, that's a pretty achievable goal. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to take it slow, and I'm really going to work on trying to learn that scale. For me now, it's gonna be, I'm gonna work on my improvising. That means I don't have any sheet music in front of me. I'm just playing from the top of my head. Whatever my brain says to play is what I play on my instrument. And that's really scary for me right now, but that's something that I'm really trying to work on. So that's usually my goal is I'm going to improvise every day. It might have been when I was in college, I'm gonna learn 3 measures of my solo. I'm gonna learn 3 measures of my solo. That's a good goal. Or 3 measures of an etude. Etudes are, special things that we practice to make our fingers quicker, or, our tone better just to play. So in your books, it's gonna be, I'm gonna learn 1 measure of a song that my band director told me to practice. If I'm learning London Bridges, I might want to work on 1 measure of London Bridge. Okay, let's talk about the when. Okay, the when is super important. I can't even stress this enough. The when you practice is super important. Your body likes habit. It loves habit. It loves to make habits. And unfortunately for us, it takes 21 days approximately to make a habit. So that's 3 weeks of you practicing every day before it becomes really ingrained in you. And it only takes 2 days to break it. So you go 21 days and you take 2 days off, it's no longer a habit. You will feel better about yourself if you practice every day. But I also want to point out that if you practice around the same time every day, then your body just gets adjusted to practicing in that time. Immediately, you'll just, if you practice at 5 and that's after dinner, then as soon as you eat dinner, you're going to be like, oh, I need to go practice. Or if that's before dinner, you're going to say, oh, I need to go practice before I eat, And I want to say that for younger students, no more than 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be an hour-long practice session. Now, I sometimes will get invested in my practice sessions and wind up practicing, 3 or 4 hours, but really the true time frame for learning, even at my age, even at 26, I'm not 10 anymore, even at 26, really the true time limit for where I can learn something new is approximately 30 minutes to an hour. After that, my brain checks out and I just want to play something that I know. So it's really hard to force myself to go longer than that. So why do it? 30 minutes? It's good practice session for anybody. I'm talking to older students too. There are going to be people that disagree with me in this video, and that's okay. Hate is going to hate. That's all I got to say. I am a firm believer in 20 to 30 minutes. That's what I got to say about that. Where to practice? Again, your body likes habits, so if you can practice in the same place every day, that's good. You're seeing my messy bedroom right now. This is typically where I practice. I'm usually standing when I practice. But where you practice is also pretty important. Again, your body likes routine. You kind of have to come up with a why. Well, why do you want to practice? Well, to get better, yes, but that's kind of a cop-out answer. I ask kids all the time, why do you play saxophone? Why do you play trombone? And for now, it's, well, I wanted to try something different, or I like the trombone, or I like the saxophone. But really, I'm guessing, I have a strong suspicion that you probably saw someone play your instrument, and then you got inspired by that, and now you want to be like them. Which is totally fine. I mean, I play with people all the time that I'm like, dang, I wish I could be as good as them. I mean, my teachers throughout the years have been incredible. Just, they inspire me to practice just so I can be at their level. I know that I'll probably never be there, but if I could get anywhere close, I would say I'd be doing good. So you have to find your why. Why do you love music? Why do you want to practice? I mean, to get better, but come up with your why. And then, one of my favorite things to do is to have a note card with my why. And it may change, and I tape it to my stand, or I tape it to my wall, or I tape it to my case. Something along those lines that reminds me why I'm practicing. And and how you practice makes it different, which is what I'm about to do. I'm about to walk you through what I do as a semi-professional musician. Here's how I walk through my practice sessions. How you practice makes it different. If you spend all your time on one scale, that's boring. Okay? You want to do something fun. You want to make learning fun for you, because your brain is going to remember things better. Like, think about all of the times that you're sitting in a class and you're so bored, you're like, oh my gosh, if this teacher doesn't just close their mouth soon, I'm gonna die. And those aren't the fun classes. The ones where you experience something are the ones that you learn best. You have to be your own teacher. I mean, you have to find ways to make things fun. And I have a quick little tip for you that my current saxophone teacher has taught me that I really like. There are 2 things that you can do to help you remember and want to practice. First of all, when you get home after a long day, you don't want to do anything, but if you'll take a small piece of sugar, then you'll actually be a little bit more motivated to practice. My favorite snack, hush hush, real secretive. My favorite little snack is I always like to eat a Hershey Kiss before I play. Make sure you drink plenty of water and all that. You don't want all that gunk in your horn. But I've heard a lot of people say that they eat peppermints when they're practicing, especially when they're trying to memorize stuff. Something about peppermint in your brain, you recall that, like, when you're engaging all 5 of your senses, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and I'm sure I'm missing one, feeling, I guess, then you start to remember things better. So, peppermint, Hershey Kiss, something to help you get through the day. And also, I'm like, oh, I look forward to the Hershey Kiss, and I have to reward myself if I'm gonna practice. So that's my little reward, is, okay, I got the Hershey Kiss, and now I'm gonna practice. Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through like a shortened version of a practice session of what I would do. Okay? First of all, I'm going to warm up. I don't want to just blow my chops right away into playing something. Warming up is super important, just like sports. You stretch before you run. And take it from experience, if you don't stretch before you run, you are going to hurt. Okay? So you want to warm up, you want to get your fingers moving, you want to get your brain working. And I hear this all the time from students. I don't want to play scales. Scales are awful. They don't have to be. Okay? And again, I knew all of my major scales going into college, but that did not make me like them any more than I did. Okay? But again, my college professor taught me something about practicing scales, and this kind of carried over into after college too. If you practice with a metronome, you're gonna tune it out, man. Metronomes are good things, and sometimes it requires only click, 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 click. But for scales, you don't have to always practice with a metronome. Look up on YouTube some random Latin jazz beat or a backing track, a rock track, something that you like, and then start practicing to your scales to that. Like, I literally just searched on YouTube like a Latin track, so this has bossa nova drumming backing track only, and you can hear it. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. So I'm going to start internalizing that groove. And again, remember I said earlier, if my goal was to learn my C major scale, well, I'm going to take things slow. I'm going to go one note at a time. Sorry. Okay. So the next step might be doing in half notes. style, so I might think about how I'm gonna play this scale so I can match the drum a little bit. Da 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 da. Let's try that. Okay, now, of course I know all my scales, so I'm just showing a snippet. But that's some of the things that you can do. So the last thing I played was the arpeggio in there. That's the first note of the scale, the third note of the scale, the fifth note of the scale, and then the last note of the scale. Okay? That literally took me 2 minutes and 40 seconds. That's it. And now I can move on, or I can keep practicing another scale. If you got it, great. Let it be. Okay? Generally, my rule in college was 5 times correct. Got it. Okay? So I would work for 5 times in a row correct. But if it took me longer than 5 minutes, then I would just move on and go back to it the next day. That's another thing for musicians that's really hard. You have the rest of your life to learn stuff. Don't force it. That's something that's still pressing on me right now, is I have to convince myself sometimes that, I have to work at it and it doesn't come in a day. Okay? So, you can also play really fun scale games. If I was practicing with a friend, or sometimes my teachers, they would call out random scales and I'd have to change in the middle of it, okay? And ideally I'd like to have someone with me, but basically the idea is you're like playing your C major scale, C, D, E, F, and then someone might go, B flat. Well, then you have to play the rest of the scale in the key signature of B flat. G, A, B flat, C, B flat, A, G, F, E flat, D, C. Okay? And that really throws your brain into a loop, so it gets you out of this rut of like, oh, I'm just practicing scales. Okay? Now, I try and run through mine every day, but I have a special scale pattern that I use. This is actually coming from when I was student teaching, the Warren East High School drum line. They use this pattern a lot. Forgive me, I don't know what it's called, but basically you're going to go 1 to 5, and back down. Okay, and I think you do that twice through, and then you go all the way up the scale, 1 to 8, or 1 to 9, come back down to 5, okay, so I'm gonna play this. This is for older students, the ones that you already have your scales down and stuff like that. I'd say high school level or above. I like to do this with my scales. Then I might speed it up. Oh, sorry, I messed it up. Okay, and that's one of my things that just gets me out of a rut. Okay, so warming up scales are good. Sometimes we used to improvise to warming up, and again, that's just playing whatever you feel like playing. Any notes, in whatever order. Okay, now this is what I call meat practice. This is what you want to get done, in about 10 minutes or so. If you're in band and you're just starting, this is going to be your buck work. I used Foundations for Superior Performance, it looks like. Whatever you use, I need you to practice some of that, like 10 minutes, okay? And the biggest mistake that anybody does, especially when they're first starting, is practicing beginning to end. Always. And I used to do this too, so I can't really be mad about it. But oh my gosh, this gets on my nerves as a teacher, to be honest, okay? If you're struggling with something, like all of my recorders kids out there will know, it's raining, it's pouring, G, G, E, A, G, E, okay? If the skip is what's throwing you off, practice the skip over and 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 over again, okay? Okay? Now I'm going to pretend to be in 3rd grade, and here's what I get. Okay, because it takes a second for your brain to recognize. I'm going to go really, really slow, and I'm going to practice this over and over and over again. And then I'm going to stop, and I'm going to go back and do it again. I'm going to stop. I'm going to do it again. Remember, 5 times. That was 3. 4. Now, I'm going to go a little bit after that this time. What do you know? That G to E comes back again. I'm just adding an A in there. So I'm going to practice that over and over again. Okay? I'm going to practice just that chunk. Just that chunk. Just that chunk. Just that little chunk. Okay? And then the other thing that I need you to practice is just to keep going. If you mess up, oh well. Keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. That's why as a teacher, for all you music educators out there, I always allow 3 mistakes. Okay? That's just one of those things that I allow. Okay? My computer's doing something really funky right now. Okay? So I always allow 3 mistakes. That way it's like not as much pressure on the kids that they have to be absolutely perfect to pass their belt. And we all remember what it's like. You want to please people, right? So if they get 3 or 4 mistakes, if the rest of it was good, or they played it, especially on tunes that repeat themselves, if they played it once already and then they kind of mess it up the second time, I generally give them the next belt. Because I want them to keep going. I want them to still be motivated to practice. Okay? So, chunk practice. Break it up into smaller chunks. Okay? No more than 2 measures. And this used to get on my nerves so much when I was playing solos. Oh, I hated it. But break it down and then put it back. Okay? And when you put it back, don't just go all the way back to the beginning and then put it in context. Slowly back it up. And then one of the best things I can recommend for you that one of my teachers recommended is you always want to finish strong. Always, 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 always. You always want to finish strong. So start practicing from the end first and then go backwards. If you learn a piece like that, then you'll be so confident at the end that you'll be like, oh, okay, it was a little rocky in the beginning, but I'm gonna finish strong. Okay? That worked wonders for me. People were telling me how good I was, and I'd be like, really? That didn't sound good at all. That's because I pretended like I knew what I was doing, and the end sounded strong. Okay? So, meet practice. This should be about 10 minutes. So that's book music or solo music, or both, whatever it is. But you have to lay out what you want to practice first. If you're learning London Bridge, I know that's what Calverton's band, some of Calverton band students are working on right now, then your goal should not be to learn London Bridge in one day. It should be to learn the last 2 measures. And then slowly start working it back. Okay? Alright. And then after that, you want to play something fun. Okay? So, for me, this is going on YouTube and practicing some jazz music, because that's fun for me, something that I know that I'm confident on, but I'm gonna pretend like I am in this generation right now. There are tons of play-alongs on YouTube, man. All you gotta do is just search whatever song that you want, plus your instrument. Okay, we don't need bossa nova. And then it should come up. So let's see. I'm gonna do... Let's just type in saxophone play-alongs and see what we get. See, it's gonna give me all the jazz stuff because that's all I've been playing recently. I'm looking, guys. I promise. I should have had this prepared already. Okay. Alright, here we go. Saxophone, alto sax, easy, popular songs for beginners. Oh, this is all Christmas, man. Okay, here's Hedwig's theme. Hedwig's theme from Harry Potter. Let's see what this is. Alright, let's see. I don't want to go really longer than 30 minutes, but let's see what else they have. Oh, pirates. We are pirates. Da-da-dum-dum-da-da-dum-dum. Okay, now, I realize that for beginners this might be a little bit tough, but it does push you to keep going. And if you don't know fingerings, then you can look them up. I'm trying to find something that I know my beginners can play. I think We Are Pirates is a good one. That one wasn't too bad. Okay. We have Despacito on here. I'm not gonna play that one because that one looks hard. Here's Havana. Nah.